Millennials are coming together to redefine the American dream. Freddy Smith. I'm a millennial and I missed the invitation on this. Did you guys know about it? I didn't know that we had a meeting to redefine the American dream, but whatever. And I know this is on Fox Business, Fox News, whatever, same company, right? So please just refrain comment on that. And let's just watch the video and then let's discuss it. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go.
And it's a sad reality for the middle class. Our next guest says that the old American dream that we were talking about has died to a certain extent, and we're now redefining it from top to bottom. Florida realtor Freddy Smith joins us now. It's good to have you with us, Freddy. I saw your message on TikTok, and I thought it was pretty powerful.
If you haven't subscribed to Freddy Smith, I highly recommend it. I know he's big on TikTok. I don't have TikTok. I'm not doing it. Maybe in the future, if my channel grows, I need a more social media presence. But right now, I'm not TikTok. I do follow him on Instagram. That's something I'm willing to go through. But shout out to him. Follow him if you can.
You're talking about these home prices and how kids today feel like this just isn't within their reach. And I'm wondering, are they completely abandoning the notion that they will ever own a home and hence spending on other things, changing their lifestyles as a result of it? And do they seem upset about it at all?
I think the biggest sentiment is that millennials are more surprised because we grew up in the 80s and 90s watching our parents and our family friends all live a middle class life and own a house making $50,000, $60,000. And that was true all the way up till about 2019,
60,000. I would say the household had 60,000. I wouldn't say it was just, if you had both mother and father working together, I think with the totals house income is 60,000 that could afford a house. My parents were just blue collar. They didn't make a lot of money, but they were somehow able to have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, just your typical house.
2020, where a $60,000 salary could get you into the average house. This is a new phenomenon starting in 2023. Where, like that Redfin article said, you need about 115 to 120,000 to get a home, and that was a staple of the middle class. So,
$120,000 a year. I know I've made videos about like ways to make more money, how to really push yourself up, whether it be like new skill or maybe get a second job or something else, right? There's hope for the younger generation because they could probably start on something that will amount to something big if they start right. But millennials, I know there's plenty of millennials who are not even close to 120,000. They're probably just halfway there at 60,000 a year, right? And I wish I had a better answer to help my fellow millennials because that's rough. I mean, shoot, I'm just barely over that. I just got my house not even a year ago. I just pulled the triggers of like, dude, I don't think it's getting any better. Yeah, it hasn't been, right? Yeah, interest rates went down a little bit, but it's still stuck at the high 6s. It's probably creeping back up. And with recent inflation reports, like, we're here expecting the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. And looking how inflation is still hot, who's to say that they will actually do that? Because the biggest culprit with this inflation is housing. And it's so unaffordable. High interest rates, you think it's tackling down the home prices? No, it hasn't. The only houses I've noticed that went down in price are the undesirable houses. The undesirable houses that I'm talking about are like the houses that were worth, let's just say, $400,000 4 years ago. Now the seller's trying to sell it for like $700,000, right? And it needs like a new roof, new AC. It needs a lot of work, and they're trying to sell it for a premium. Those are like the houses that are not selling right now. But there are. I mean, it's hard to get a decent home that doesn't require a lot of work. So I understand millennials who took the advice of other generations, the older generations who did the same path. Go to college, get a degree, you'll get a decent income, boom, you'll be set. Might have to pull out a little loans, but they pulled out loans, wasn't that much, they paid it off right away. Now, millennials did follow the same path, But the loan amount that they had to take to get the degree was substantial, right? Now to the point like, dude, I can't even afford anything else now because it's so expensive. And it says, millennials are frustrated. So I get the frustration.
So I think millennials are frustrated, but we're coming together to find a way to redefine the American dream. Because I think our generation and younger generations are really looking to pursue our ideas and opportunities. And maybe this old path isn't going to work anymore. And we're finding that out very quickly.
So, Freddie, I totally get the frustration, but I think
That's
it's
an evil
interesting
number
when
right there.
we talk about redefining the American dream. What are you redefining that as? And is it a good idea to disconnect the American dream from some of those big assets that have been like the staple of American wealth building frankly, for hundreds of years, actually? What's the new path and what characterizes it?
I think people have to decide what they want. If you do want a home and you know that your income is not going to go above 80 or 100,000 in your lifetime, but you want that white picket fence and tire swing, then strategies like potentially moving to
In your lifetime, I think it could go, but like right now, if you're a millennial, mid-30s, maybe early 40s, and you're struggling to get above that six-figure mark, 100,000 a year, that's rough. But if you're just a younger generation and you're already at 60,000, there's still time to get up there. But right now, for my generation, oof, I'm sorry. I wish I could help. Again, I wish I could help.
To a different state where housing is still affordable and rent is still affordable. But in the metropolitan areas, if you have somebody in a line of work that isn't going to get to that 120, 130 in a lifetime and home ownership is important, they have to make that decision. But you also don't want to feel like a failure or be upset if home ownership isn't going to be that staple for you. There's other ways to be successful with these opportunities in the market today.
Freddie, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
He talked about moving. That's a hard leap for a lot of people. If you really, really value home ownership, like if that is a top priority of you, and you live in places like New York or California or Florida, those might not be the states where you can get your first home. Unless something great happens, right? Where you just end up with a bunch of money coming in. But right now, if your salary is stuck in the 60 to 80,000 mark per year. Well, first you have to find a job in the other state where the houses are affordable, right? That's willing to pay that. Because whatever state you're at, whether it be like New York or Los Angeles, if they're paying you 80 there, the same job is probably going to pay you much less somewhere else, right? So that's that's a tough one though, because it's also true. If you do want that house, you got to move somewhere else. But like a lot of jobs are in the metropolitan area. And I'm lucky because I know a lot of people, I get hate for this all the time. I get hate all the time. But hear me out. I have a remote job. I mainly looked for remote jobs. This way, I can get a house that's not that close to the Phoenix metro area. Went out farther out, so I can get a house that's affordable. I understand not everyone has that opportunity and people have their opinions about remote workers, this and that. I did it so I can line up the dots. It's like, if I want a house, probably better off being a remote employee. And then so I can get the house that's more affordable. I know it's farther away from Phoenix, but I really don't care. I like small town living anyway. It's probably just me getting older. But that is like one of the methods I had to come up with to make it happen. And this is the thing that many of us, especially millennials, you have to figure it out, right? And I understand it's not easy. Opportunities are not there. Maybe the job skill you have is not there. And it's just a matter of how do you figure that out. But I understand like the leap of moving is pretty scary, right? You're probably going to be moving away from your parents. Maybe your parents need your help. They're probably old and sick and you want to be close. I get that. I get that a lot. But it's just how do you value it? Like, I get it. We got screwed. We got screwed on housing affordability. I know it, but I don't know what's going to solve the problem. I really thought that the Federal Reserve increasing interest rates would crack it. So far, it's showing it's the most resilient. Yeah, other things might have dropped off in price, but housing did not crack. And it probably won't crack unless we have a higher unemployment, unfortunately, right? And the people who are trying to save for that house, if unemployment goes up, they're probably the first ones to get fired, and they're screwed again, right? Screwed on being able to afford a house, and then when you're on your road, you're probably going to get screwed with unemployment. And then your priorities change. I understand when people say the system doesn't work. It works for the few, but not for the many. Because honestly, I'm a very lucky man. Very lucky. I can understand that you could be on a trajectory where you're just taught, work hard, and you'll get there, right? Just stick with it, you'll get there. And for a lot of people, they're like, dude, I really just haven't gone far. And everything in life just got more expensive. Can't even reach it. I missed the point of what was redefining the American dream. What was it? Redefining as in move? That's what it is, redefine, just move. Get the hell out of where you're at. Like Florida, right here, right? Who can afford that? Like, what average person can afford that? You can't, if you make less than $100,000, you're not getting that house. Dude, a house like that is like, you have to have an income of like maybe 150 or more just to maybe qualify. You probably have to be comfortable at the $200,000 a year. So really, if you're $200,000 a year, there's not a lot of jobs that pay that. Not a lot of jobs that pay. You have to make that yourself, whether it be an entrepreneur, successful investor, but you're not going to do it as a W-2 employee for the most part. Yeah, there's some that exist, but for the most part, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to figure out another way to make money, to make 200,000+ a year. What's crazy is that there is no real blame that these media outlets are putting on why housing went up so high. Right? It's just we're in this weird storm of low inventory. People have golden handcuffs, as they're calling it, because they don't want to move. They don't want to get rid of their 2, 3, maybe 4% interest rates. And they can't build enough houses and prices keep going up. But keep in mind, inflation was caused by the Federal Reserve by printing, in the last 4 years, they increased the money supply by 40%. Give or take, like, comment below if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's crazy. That's why everything's got so expensive. And your dollar that's in your wallet or bank account is weaker. And your wages are not going to increase either. They're not going to go up 40%, but everything else around you will. And the Federal Reserve plans to cut rates. While housing is still expensive and we still have inflation, they're expected to cut rates this year, right? I don't think it's going to happen till we see better data. And if they cut rates, it's just going to cause more problems with it's going to shoot up inflation. It really is. If they cut rates, inflation's going back up. Because it's not stable. Things are not stable right now. Prices are not stable. Prices went way beyond people's affordability. Not to be so political, but that's the prime reason is the Federal Reserve. They're trying to fix the problem they caused, right? And this isn't Democrat or Republican type of speech, right? They both screw it up. The only time there should be a discussion about Democrats and Republicans is that the money that they do generate from taxes, how they spend it. But they have nothing to do with inflation. The government cannot increase or deflate inflation. Great, now I'm pissed. I don't know how to conclude this video, so I'll just end it there. So please like, subscribe, comment below. I will read those comments, and I'm really curious what some of you have to say, because it's hard for me to put a solid opinion on this one, because it just sucks, and we all feel it too. We all feel it. I mean, I got a house, the payments is what I can afford, but man, there's people who have a house who are my age and their payments are half the amount, and I'm just jealous for the same type of house. It's just like, damn, I can do so much more with that money. But whatever, I digress. Like, subscribe, comment below. Thanks for watching. Take care.